everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, To the Moms. We are your hosts, Kathy and Amaris. Today's episode, we are going to be sharing our pregnancy journeys. We are getting into the nitty gritty, all the details. This is actually my first time talking about like my full pregnancy journey. So I'm actually really excited.
I'm excited for you because I think the people need to know.
Yeah, and I'm excited to learn about yours too. I feel like we didn't really discuss it much.
Mine is really just average. It's like there's really nothing exciting.
Amaris.
I mean,
it is. No, there is. We are going to get to some funny parts. You know, the wedding, a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. So I know you were planning to have kids. Both pregnancies were planned.
Both pregnancies were planned. I was very grateful and lucky that I was able to get pregnant on the first try with both times. So when I was pregnant with Liam, so my first baby, I went in for my first ultrasound, I remember, and the doctor at the time, so she told me that she couldn't see like my left ovary because there was a cyst blocking it. She explained it as like a dermoid cyst, which is basically a non-cancerous tumor. But she was very dismissive. She was like, "Oh, it's fine. Like, you know, don't worry about it. You know, we'll deal with it later." So I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I didn't think much about it. Halfway through that pregnancy, my water ended up breaking early. So in that case, it's called PROM, PPROM. And I had all the labor signs. I was having contractions to the point that at one point they were like 2 minutes apart. So it was really, intense. And after I lost the baby, I was diagnosed with incompetent cervix. So really quick, I just wrote down definitions for both. So PROM, PPROM, is preterm premature rupture of the membranes. So it's when water breaks before 37 weeks of pregnancy. I know you had PROM with Thane, right?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So PROM occurs in 3% of pregnancies and in less than 1% of pregnancies before 24 weeks, which was my case. So my case is less than 1%. So it's not very common.
Right.
And then incompetent cervix, there's another term also, which is cervical insufficiency. So that occurs when your cervix opens, weakens, or shortens too early in pregnancy. So mine began to shorten at around 16 weeks. And by 18 weeks, I was completely effaced, is what they call it, like when your cervix is thinned out. And I was starting to dilate. So that's how I knew, like, okay, I have, competent cervix. So after the loss, I knew I had to find a doctor that specialized in incompetent cervix. I was completely lost. Like I didn't know anyone that had gone through something like this. I was doing all different kinds of research. I was trying to find doctors, but nobody like specialized in that. It's not very common at all.
Right.
Especially in my area. So I remember joining a Facebook group. And I asked in the group, hey, listen, like this happened. What are my next steps? Like, what do I need to do? What kind of doctor do I need to be seeing? And everyone said a maternal fetal medicine doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I need to find somebody here in New Jersey. I don't remember if I found my doctor through Facebook. It might have been, or like just Google search. But I ended up finding someone, and it turns out he's like the best maternal fetal medicine doctor in New Jersey, like in the tri-state area. Yeah. And luckily, like he took my insurance, like it worked out perfectly. So I ended up I called the office and I made what's called a preconception consultation.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went in for that appointment. It's basically just talking about like your plan, for your next pregnancy, if you're high risk.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I brought all my charts, everything from the hospital. I had like literally the whole freaking textbook of paperwork that I brought with me. And he sat me down. He's like looking through everything. And he's like, first of all, like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. He broke everything down to me in a way that it just completely made sense to me. Like, I felt so good in that appointment. He was just so nice, and he drew like diagrams for me, and he was amazing. It was a great appointment. And I felt for the first time since losing Liam, like, hopeful. You know, like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe I could get pregnant again and it'll be fine. So we created a plan for the next pregnancy. And that plan was he was going to do a cervical cerclage, which is a stitch that's performed in your cervix. So you're basically your vagina stitched up.
Right.
Yeah. So he would do that at 12 weeks. But the first thing that I needed to do was get that dermoid cyst assessed.
Right.
So he sent me off to get an ultrasound. I went into the city and it was huge. It was on my left ovary, like I said. It was like the size of a baseball.
Oh my gosh.
I know. He's like, this is not nothing. Like, I don't know how that doctor could dismiss that. He was like, we need to get this taken care of right away.
Right.
So, yeah, I remember as soon as the results came in, he called me. I was at a bar with Blue, and I'm like in the bathroom because I didn't have service at the bar. And he's like, I'm sending all your information over to this surgeon that I know. Call him first thing tomorrow, make an appointment with him, and, you know, we'll take it from there. So I made an appointment with that doctor, I think the following week, or I don't know when, but it went well, and we scheduled a date for surgery right away. So the surgery was on September 30th. And it went well. My only concern was, okay, like, how soon do I have to wait until I can get pregnant again? He said after 2 cycles. So, bitch, that's what I did. That's what I did. Literally after 2 cycles, I was like, okay, we're going to try, you know, to have this baby. I bought the ovulation kit, you know, the little test strips. So we were doing that. So in the beginning of November, and I found out I was officially pregnant the day after Thanksgiving.
Aww.
Yeah. So I started testing early. I was like testing from day 5 DPO, or days of days post ovulation, right?
Yeah.
Is that the term?
I think so. I don't know.
Blue thought I was crazy. He's like, you need to chill. He's like, you need to chill the fuck out. Like, it's not going to happen that fast. Like, you need to, you just went through surgery. Like, you don't know. I'm like, it's going to happen. Like, I'm manifesting this for myself. It's going to happen. And then on Thanksgiving Day, I remember feeling so off. So every year I make this mulled wine. I couldn't drink it that year. I was like, this tastes weird. Like, I don't know what's going on. And Blue's like, calm the fuck down because you're not pregnant. So the next day, he's like, promise me you're not going to take any more. Like, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Just wait till you have a missed period if you have one. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So the next day, I'm like, I'm going to take my test. It's negative. I leave it on the counter. I don't think about it. Later on that day, I'm like, you know what? Let me go back to the test. Let me just take a little peek. And it's like the faintest line. And I show it to Blue. He's like, there's nothing there. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, don't you see? I have to show you, Maris. I'll send you a picture. He's like, I'm like, don't you see it? He's like, no. I'm like, no, we're going to CVS right now. We're going to get like the digital, you know. He's like, it's not going to come up because you're way too early to test.
Yeah.
So we get the digital test, and lo and behold, pregnant.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised the digital test
I know.
Picked it up.
I was 8 at this. I think I was 6 days DPO or something.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy. Like, I feel like that's
crazy.
unheard of. But yeah, so I found out I was pregnant, and we kept it like a secret. I was like, okay, we're not going to tell anyone because, you know, I wanted to confirm it with the doctor and everything. So we didn't tell anybody. Then, so I called, this was Friday, it was Black Friday. So I called the doctor's office on Monday and I was like, I'm pregnant. I need to make an appointment. Like, I feel like that call is always so awkward.
Right? Yeah, it is. It's like,
hey, so I'm pregnant.
Like, I just took 3 pregnancy tests.
And they're like, so you want an appointment?
Yeah. They're like, okay, congratulations.
Yeah, it's so awkward.
We can see you at this time. I'm like, okay, thank you.
It's like you're like a little girl or something. But anyways, so the earliest that they were able to schedule me in was for early January. I think they wanted it. I had to wait till I was like 8 weeks, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the following weeks, again, we just kept it a secret. And then we had a trip planned the second week of December. It was Blue's company work party. They flew us out to Palm Springs. So we were there for a weekend and I was freaking miserable.
Oh, wow.
So we were in California and I was already getting symptoms. Like I was having morning sickness. So it was hard, like hiding it from everyone. And people are like, what's up with your wife? Like,
Did she drink a little too much?
Yeah. So that was really hard. And then we told my parents and his parents on, I think it was Christmas Eve and you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was like Christmas Eve. And then I freaking got COVID.
Oh, that's right.
I think I tested positive the next day and oh my God, it was fucking brutal. Oh my God, I fucking hate COVID. I hate it. I hate it. I started bleeding. I think it was, if not that week, it was like the following week because it was right before New Year's. I was bleeding and I was freaking out. I was so nervous. I'm like, man, I really hope like I'm not having a miscarriage. So I called this was at nighttime too. So it's like, what do I do? So I called the next morning and they're like, come in today, like come in right away. So I go in and I went by myself because this was because of COVID. Yeah. So Blue wasn't allowed to go with me. I go in. Luckily, everything's fine. I don't know why the bleeding occurred, but everything's fine. I'm not able to hear the heartbeat, but I'm able to see it on the screen, if that makes sense. So I do that, and then I meet with the doctor, and he's just so happy. He's like, "Oh my gosh, sweetie, congratulations! We're gonna have a baby. I'm so happy for you." And he gives me like the biggest hug. So shout out to Dr. Principe. He's the best. And he's like, let's schedule your cerclage like right now. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, let's do it. So he scheduled the cerclage for February. I think it was like mid or end of February. And my other concern was that I was scared to get contractions during this pregnancy because that's what happened with the last one. So he said that he would put me on progesterone shots. So the medication that I would have to take, the brand is called Makina. And I would start at, I don't remember when I started. I think it was like around 15 weeks or so, 15 or 16 weeks. And I would have to take it every single week.
So how long was your morning sickness?
It was like the whole first trimester.
That's it?
Yeah.
You're lucky.
I had the best. I mean, yeah, I was high risk, but I had the best pregnancy.
Not I. Real quick, my pregnancy symptoms with Thane, I was nauseous and miserable. The first trimester, barely ate anything. It's all a blur. Sitting on the couch, just miserable.
I was literally on the couch 24/7 that first trimester.
Miserable. I ate a lot of carbs.
Me too.
A lot of carbs during first trimester because that was the only thing I was able to like stomach. And with him, by I think 22 weeks, I no longer felt nauseous and I was able to like eat. So that was great. But with Cirilla, I had to continue my nausea pills until 34 weeks.
No
way. 34 weeks.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. With Cirilla, I was nauseous but hungry. Like I was eating. I was like, Abraham, I need some authentic Mexican tacos. Oh, it's COVID. No one really makes it. I learned how to make it.
You're like, I'm determined.
I was craving chicken and enchiladas one day. Guess what? I learned
that is so
how to make that. I wanted pizza. I learned how to make the type of pizza that I want. Cirilla made me learn how to cook a better, and healthier. So yeah.
I ate a lot too during my pregnancy. I will say that. Like, well, in the first trimester, again, the only thing I could stomach were carbs. So I was eating a lot of fast food, like McDonald's. I was eating a lot of
pizza.
And pizza, yeah. Pizza and McDonald's were my best friend.
Yes.
Oh my God. I love like chicken nuggets and fried chicken sandwiches were my jam. And then
they were so good.
I just started to get like a little healthier, obviously, like later on. But
yeah. With Thane, I got a little healthier, but I didn't eat the best with him.
That's okay.
But it's fine.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's all right.
But let's go back to your progesterone shots.
Yes. So I'm waiting till the day of surgery for my cerclage, and I don't leave my house basically because I'm scared to lose the baby. Right. I don't want to put any pressure on my cervix. And I don't want people finding out. I didn't have a bump, I don't think, at that point, but I didn't want, no one knew. So I just stayed home on the couch and ate Taco Bell, McDonald's. But day of surgery comes. I think I was scheduled for 10 a.m. and I got there at 8. The whole procedure was about 30 minutes. I remember the anesthesiologist coming in and talking to me about how everything was going to go. I go into the surgery room. They numb me from the waist down. So I'm awake for it, but I don't feel anything.
Okay.
But it was weird because I saw like a glimpse of it. Like there was like kind of like a mirror. I know.
No. Let me guess, you couldn't keep your eyes off.
Yeah. I was like, what the? Oh my God. It was so weird. But it took about 30 minutes and I think I was able to go home within a few hours. I want to say like 1 or 2. I was put on bed rest for the next 3 days. Had my follow-up appointment. Everything looked great. Like my cervix everything was holding, it was awesome. But again, I didn't want to leave my house.
Right.
So from 13 weeks to about 19 weeks, I really didn't leave the house much. I was very superstitious because I lost Liam at 18 weeks. So in my mind, I was like, I need to surpass the 18-week mark in order for me to feel relieved.
Right.
So I had my anatomy scan at 20 weeks. And then I think I announced my pregnancy around 21 or 22 weeks. So nobody knew except maybe 1 or 2 friends, you guys, my parents, and Blue's parents, pretty much. And then from then on, like I said, I enjoyed my pregnancy. Like I am one of those annoying ass moms who's like, I love my Yes, I did. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved being pregnant. I just felt so beautiful and I don't know. I love the kicks. I don't know. I was thriving. Like I don't know. I was happy. I felt relieved. And cause I was like, man, okay, this is happening. This is happening. This is actually, it was starting to feel real. And I wasn't, scared anymore, especially after I passed viability week, which is 24 weeks. So real quick, if you have incompetent cervix and you suffer PPROM, if your water breaks before 24 weeks, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but I know in New Jersey, doctors they're not allowed to intervene before 23 weeks.
Something like that.
Which is really sad. Like they can't save legally. Like there's nothing they can do for you. Yeah. There's nothing they can do. They can't try to help you. Yeah. Ugh, it's terrible. So once you hit, that 24-week mark, it's like, we celebrated. It was great. So rest of the pregnancy was good. I had my cerclage removed at 36 weeks. And that was freaking painful.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. So I go in to the hospital and my doctor tells me, you can't take any medication.
Ugh.
Nothing. Not even Tylenol, nothing. And I'm like, you're telling me you're going to go in there and like snip, snip.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I lay down and he inserts like is it like the speculum?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna remove it. He goes snip. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, no, there's like 3 more. I'm like, what? You didn't tell me.
Oh my gosh.
Girl, I was crying. Oh my God. After that, my blood pressure was high. So the hospital, they didn't let me go home. And I'm like, I'm just nervous. Obviously, like, did you not see what I went through? Like, they didn't let me go home. Like, I had to stay there for 2 freaking hours. And then I ended up going home, thankfully. Although they were nervous that I had early signs of preeclampsia.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say that's probably why they kept you.
That was really scary. I at this point, I can't even believe that I made it to 36 weeks. And then the weeks keep going by and I'm still pregnant. I go in for my 39-week appointment. I feel great that day. Got my big old belly and Blue's with me. So after that first visit that he wasn't allowed to go with me, they had changed the protocol. So he went with me, I want to say for every single appointment.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so he went with me. And they go to take my vitals and my freaking blood pressure is high. And I'm like, no, like, take it again. I'm fine. Yeah, the girl there, Natalie, shout out to Natalie. She takes my pressure again. She's like, it's high, girl. She's like, you might have this baby sooner than you thought. You might end up going to the hospital today. And I'm like, don't say that. Like, no. I was like, tell the doctor I'm fine. She's like, no, I gotta tell her. She's looking at me like I'm crazy.
Right.
So she's like, okay, we're going to do a stress test on the baby just to make sure everything's good. So for the next 15, 20 minutes, I'm just waiting in this room. They have the monitors all set up on the baby. Doctor comes in and he's like, you're getting induced today. And I'm like, no. Well, I'm so disappointed at this point because I really wanted to go into labor naturally. Like I really thought that was going to happen. So that's 1. And 2, my hospital bag is at home. So I'm telling him, I'm like, I have to go home to get my hospital bag. And he goes, hell no. That's what he said. He's like, hell no. I'm like, what do you mean? I live close, please. Like I live 30 minutes away. He's like, absolutely not. He's like, after this, you're going straight to the hospital. He's like, you can send your husband later. Yeah, so we go straight to the hospital. I don't even have time to eat. He's like, you have to go. He's like, I already called the hospital. I have a bed reserved. They have a bed reserved for you. He's like, there's no time. Just go. I'm like, what the hell? And I don't know anything about inductions. I don't know how things go. So in me and Blue's mind, we're like, oh shit, we're about to have this baby like soon, So we thought.
Yeah. So you thought.
Yeah. So I get to the hospital, and the nurses are just talking me through what induction is like. They tell me it could take up to 3 days. Most women, progress if it's your first time, like pretty quickly. So I'm like, okay, this is not bad. So they decide to give me misoprostol, I think it's called. It's like a medication that goes in vaginally. And it's supposed to help your cervix soften.
I think so, yeah.
And like to soften. To thin out. And then I think once it thins out, they give you Pitocin. To start the contractions. So they tell me it can take up to 6 doses for it to work. So I'm like, okay, like at some point it's going to work, right? Yeah, no. And they have to they administer it every 4 hours. So this is day 1. First cervical check, after the first dose, nothing, no changes. The next few hours, they have me walking up and down the hallway, bouncing on that freaking ball, the peanut. And and doing all different kinds of stretches to see if, anything changes. Nothing. No changes. So then the second dose is like early in the morning at some point, and I start having contractions. So I'm like, oh, this is good. This is
thank
good.
God.
Yeah, something, right? So they check my cervix. This is after dose number 2. Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Not even a little bit. And since I'm having contractions, they're like, do you want an epidural? And I say no, because the contractions, they're intense, but they're manageable. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I'm not going to do it now, especially if I haven't progressed. That makes no sense to me. The third dose, again, nothing, no changes. So my doctor comes in and he's surprised that I haven't made any changes, but he's like, it's okay. Like, there's 3 more doses. We still have time. And if those don't work out, then we'll jump to alternatives. So I'm like, okay. The 4th dose, finally, I'm 50% effaced.
Oh, good.
And 2 centimeters dilated. So I'm like, okay, it's something, right? This is still day 2. The 5th dose, which is early in the evening, nothing. I'm like, fuck, I got 1 more. The 6th dose is at 9 p.m. Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
So my doctor comes in and he's like, we're going to try the Foley bulb.
Oh.
And then after that, we'll try Pitocin. So later that night, I'm transferred to labor and delivery. They tell me, the residents, are you ready to take the Foley bulb? Like, do you want to do an epidural? Most women do. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, how, like, is it really painful? They're like, yeah, but it's, it's manageable. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to do that epidural. Bitch.
I know. I was going to say.
Holy no, Amaris. That was literally, the pain.
Yeah.
Was unlike anything I've ever felt. Like, forget the cerclage, forget the contractions.
Right.
I was screaming. Like, in the movies, like the pregnant moms are like screaming. That was me.
Oh gosh. Yep.
I was, oh my God. And I'm like, get it out, get it out, get it out. And the resident is like, we need to get permission from your doctor. I was like, no, like, get this thing out of me. And they're like, you can get an epidural right now. I'm like, yes, go get the anesthesiologist. Get me an epidural. So the anesthesiologist comes in, saves the day, and administers the thing. And instant relief. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God. So the Foley bulb is still inside of me. And I forget how long it's in for. I think a while.
Yeah, like a few hours.
Yeah. And the residents are like, oh, you'll definitely be dilated to at least a 6. Like, this jump starts things. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm getting excited. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, no. It comes out and they check my cervix. Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
I'm crying at this point. I was like, I need a C-section. And they're like, no, let's exercise all the options, because you don't want to go through that surgery. It's very intense. The recovery is really hard. So I will say I'm grateful for my doctor, in the sense that I feel like a lot of doctors, like, they just jump to the C-section, without, exercising all the options. So I really did it all. I did everything I could. But I'll get there to the C-section in a bit. So yeah, that didn't work. At this point, I think my doctor's sleeping. So another doctor is on call. He comes in. He's like, I'm going to break your water, and we're going to start Pitocin. It's definitely going to jumpstart things. And I'm like, I've heard this before. And he's like, no. He's like, it's going to work. So they start getting everything ready for a vaginal delivery. Like, they start setting everything up. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is going to happen. My water breaks. And they tell me, just rest for a few hours. I'm able to rest. The Pitocin, the contractions are working. So I'm like, okay, this is working. This is working. My doctor comes in and he checks me. He's like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. We have to do a C-section.
Right.
And I'm devastated. And I'm like, really? Like, I can't wait just a little bit. He's like, no, because the baby's actually in a bad position.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah. And then when they had the monitor, his heartbeat, it kept dipping.
Wow.
So he was getting concerned. So he's like, we need to do a C-section, like, right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have this unplanned emergency C-section, and I was so heavily medicated, Amaris, that I wanted to throw up. Like, I remember being in the room. I get to the room, and I have a new anesthesiologist, and he's so nice. He's like talking to me about his daughters and his wife. Aww. And like, yeah, I really don't feel good. I feel like I have to throw up. Meanwhile, my stomach's like cut open. Right. They're taking my intestines out, because that happens when you have a C-section. A lot of people don't know that.
I thought that was a myth.
No, they take them out.
They do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. You don't feel it, but you feel like pressure.
Like the pressure, yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm like gagging, but it's like there's nothing, like it feels so weird. It feels like I don't have a stomach. It's like the weirdest feeling. And I'm like trying to throw up, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, man. And then finally, Grayson comes out. He says it's a boy. You know, at this point, we didn't know what the gender was going to be. So that was really exciting. And the nurses are like, do you want us to put him near you? I'm like, no. I'm so delirious. I don't know what's going on. I was like, I felt like I was going to pass out.
Right.
So that was really hard. Like, I didn't get that, like, that first
moment.
First moment. I didn't get that with him. But yeah, I mean, it all worked out. He's a healthy boy. The next few hours just consisted of a lot of skin to skin and figuring out how to nurse, and that's basically it. That is basically my birth story, pregnancy story. Yeah, well,
mine is very interesting. Well, Thane.
I'm excited to hear about this.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so backstory. Thane was unplanned. He was unplanned because he was. I turned 25 years old. Then we bought a house.
Yeah.
I started a new job. So I turned 25, bought a new house, started a new job all at once. So I was excited. I'm like, this is great. I'm making more money. I have a house now. This is great. And I'm seeing all the freedom and joy that Abraham and I were able to have with higher salaries, a home, and everything. Up until that time, I wanted a baby so bad. I wanted to be a young mom. Oh, God, yeah. I would ask Abraham, let me be a mom early, give me a baby. He's like, hell no, we're still young.
Yeah, because I remember he wanted to travel and do all the things. I thought you were on board with that.
Yes and no.
Low key,
low key, I wanted a baby like ASAP, and he's like, hell no. But that's when we started traveling. The year that we went to 3 or 4 countries in 1 year, I told him, you are right. We cannot have a baby soon. We need to wait closer to 30. Because that year, I think we went to, was it that year? No, the year before we bought this house, we went to Canada, Jamaica, Ireland, and there was one more that I can't think of, Mexico.
Okay.
So the year that you and I went to Mexico, we were doing like other trips.
Yeah, I remember.
And then like a year later, we went to DR. So I knew.
You went to Curacao too, or was that later?
That was my honeymoon.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, that's like years. But I remember a couple of days before Thanksgiving, we were Abraham's co-workers and one of his girlfriends were here, and her and I, we get along, we have a good time together. And I told her, I thought I wanted a baby early, but I'm glad I waited. Yeah. We're waiting because like I am so selfish with my money, so selfish with my time, and I do not want to share anything with like anybody. Bitch. Just like you. I think the next day was Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's my holiday. I love Thanksgiving because I get to stuff my face. No one's judging me, and I'm just so freaking happy. Everything tastes like shit. I'm like, yo, my aunt's cooking has gone downhill or something. Like everything tastes like shit. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe when we go to your mom's house, everything's going to be better.
Yeah.
No, everything still tastes like shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like,
oh my God.
Kathy's mom's cooking is usually the bomb.com.
It's not hitting
I'm
this
like,
year.
the fuck? I'm like, yo, these like hormones are like, I'm also waiting for my period to come too.
Okay.
I'm like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So then the next day, just like you, Black Friday, I wake up and I was like,
how
you know
funny
what?
that we
How
both
funny is that, right?
Yeah.
Black Friday babies, and they're both boys.
Yes.
So I go downstairs. I was like, let me just take a pregnancy test to like rule that out.
Yeah.
And I think I was like day 4. I think it was day 4 of my period not coming. I took the pregnancy test. I brushed my teeth, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm not pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm not pregnant whatsoever. Look at the test, and I'm like, I'm shaking. Now my bedroom is upstairs. I run upstairs. Abraham is dead asleep, and I'm like,
oh shit,
Abe, and I'm like shaking, holding it. And he's like, what's that? I'm like, it says it's positive. I'm pregnant. Oh my God, I'm pregnant. He's just like, take another one. So this time I'm like peeing in a cup, and I'm like forcing pee to come out because I just let out like my morning pee. I take the 2 pregnancy sticks, put it in the cup, and it comes out positive. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I run upstairs and I'm crying. I'm like, yo, I'm pregnant. I just brought my wedding dress. What the hell? I started this job like I was so
you bought
sad.
your wedding dress before you found out?
Yeah, I bought my wedding dress in October, and then a month later, either a month later or like 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Can you believe that? And you know what? I kind of suspect something was up because when we had taken our engagement photos, there was a point where Abraham's hands are on my stomach, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like, I look pregnant. And
bitch, you were.
Bitch, I was pregnant. I fucking was pregnant. So I'm like, oh my God, Dane, you're in there. So cute. But yeah. So I start freaking the fuck out, bitch. Let me tell you.
Oh my God.
We went into the car and I was like, you're taking me to LabCorp and I'm taking a blood test. Little did I know, you can't do that.
Yeah.
They can't just take your blood because you requested. So the technician was like, so why are you here? I was like, well, I just found out I'm pregnant and I need to take a blood test. She's like, where's your paperwork? I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, and then she explained it to me like, you can't come.
That's so funny. You really went there. Like,
I dead ass didn't eat nothing. I was like, you're taking me here. I went in. I was like, a walk in, put other. And the girl was like, nah, that I legally can't do that. So on my way home, I am crying. That entire weekend, I was crying. And I was like, what are we gonna do? Because, like, I don't think I want this. He's like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? You and I are in love. We're getting married. We have a house.
Yeah.
We have a good salary paying job. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're not 16. I was like, well, I feel like I'm 16. I can't tell my parents I'm pregnant. They're going to kill me. He's like, what are you talking about?
That is so
like,
funny.
What do you mean? Like, we can't have this baby. He's like, and that's when he
it's so like, funny because he was the one that was so like, we need to wait, and you wanted initially a baby.
Right.
That's so funny.
I think what it was like, I turned 25 and all these like good things were happening. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I was moving up in my career and I moved up pretty fast. So I was like, I'm going to be like an HR manager in a couple of years and then I can have a baby and become a mom. But I was just so freaked out because in my mind, this was not in my plan. And I'm a very big, I'm okay with change. But it takes me a while to be okay with it. So that was me like spiraling. I was like, oh my God, like we can't tell anybody. But the secret was like killing me. So I'm like, you need to text your best friends that we're pregnant. I'm like, because they're not going to tell anyone. They don't know anyone that I would want to know. So by the end of the Thanksgiving weekend, they knew they were so happy, and I was just like, why is everyone happy for me? Like, oh my goodness,
it's so funny.
I'm like, I'm pregnant, and then my symptoms started like
right away.
We're having like your mom's leftovers, and Abraham's like, this is so good. I'm like, yo, this tastes like shit. I'm like, no. I can't eat anything, and I'm just on the couch, miserable. I was miserable, crying the entire weekend.
Oh man!
That Monday, I went into my manager's office, and I closed the door, and I was like, I have to tell you something. She's like, okay. And I was like, I'm pregnant. She's happy for me. And
did you even call a doctor at this point? Like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. I called the doctor during lunchtime. During my lunch because, Black Friday weekend. Yes. I mean, not Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, yeah.
So I told her, I was like, listen, during lunch, I'm going to have to make all these, like, appointments and all. She's like, okay, that's fine. She was so happy for me. And I was like, bitch, the fuck? Yeah. Why are you happy? So then I'm like crying. I'm like crying too.
That is so funny.
And then my coworker comes in. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm pregnant. She was like, I knew it. She called it. I was like, not to be TMI, but I was having like bowel movement problems. And I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I feel like you always have bowel movement problems.
Oh my God. We'll talk about that.
I'm not even surprised.
I know. And, and she told me, she's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, you're wrong. Not pregnant, thanks. So when I told her, she's like, I knew you were pregnant that day. Wow. And I was like,
thanks for sending that energy to me.
Thanks. But I just thought it was so funny. And looking back at it now, there were a couple of nights that I had to go back during third shift. Third shift starts at 10 p.m. and I had to go back to work to do like 401k stuff. And I would like just knock out like on the couch. I was like, what is wrong with me? This is so weird.
Yeah, that tiredness when you're pregnant is unlike anything.
Like, what's going on? I'm so tired. Like, usually I'm fine. Like, I don't go to bed until like 11. And like by 11:15, I would have been home. So I was like, this is so weird. But
you were
I
pregnant.
Pushed it off. I was so pregnant then. Oh my gosh. So I make the appointment. Abraham comes in with me and I'm nervous. My doctor, she's so nice. Well, she's not a doctor. Hold up. She's a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
She was so nice. And she was like, what's this plan? I was like, no.
I like, hate when happy? They ask that. Why do they ask that?
I almost feel like, because her follow-up question was, are we happy? And we said yes.
Okay.
So I almost feel like it's like an introduction to, not that they have to, but like an introduction of like, do you want to keep it? Do you want options?
Gotcha. Okay.
But I was like, yeah, we're happy. Just like surprise. And she's like, okay. She's very like quirky, very like nerdy. I like love her. So she confirms I'm pregnant. I think that same day, did I have my first ultrasound, or I scheduled to have my first ultrasound at like some point.
Did you find a new OB, or did you go to the one that you've been going to? Or?
Oh no, I've been going. Well, I never had someone because we moved here, and I was concentrating on my like job and getting things unpacked.
Right.
So it's funny because the day that they confirmed my pregnancy, I already had an appointment to like get a wellness checkup. So when I called, they were like, I'm just gonna change it from wellness to pregnancy. And I was like, okay, thanks. So I didn't have to like wait.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think a week later on my mom's birthday, because a week later was my mom's birthday, I was like, I have to tell her, like, it is eating me alive.
Were you nervous?
I was so nervous. So I called my sister because I knew she would pick up, and I was like, I need you to take the phone to mom and dad. She's like, they're sleeping. I was like, I don't care. Take the phone to mom and dad.
Oh, shit.
So I bring it out. So my sister brings the phone over, and I was like, I have to tell you guys something. And mom was like, what? I was like, happy birthday. And I'm pregnant. She's like, what? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like crying hysterically. And my mom's like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like crying. She's like, show me the test. And I kept the test and I show her, and my dad's like, oh my God, it's there. It's how, yeah, you're pregnant. I was like,
oh my God.
I've been knowing since a whole week. I'm scared to tell you. They were like, what the hell? Like, you were scared to tell me. Like, what? So
like, you're a grown-ass woman.
Yeah, they're like confused as shit. Like, why? So they actually come down that day because they were so excited. They brought me a balloon and flowers. God, how sweet. Yeah. There was this Dave's barbecue place. I forget like the name. It's like Dave's. We got a barbecue tray platter, and the chicken on the platter was disgusting.
Oh, chicken no, you couldn't even enjoy it.
I couldn't enjoy it. I remember eating just the bread, the corn, and I think I came with fries. That's all I had. Mm-hmm. That's all I had. But the protein that was there, I was like, oh, this tastes sour. Disgusting. Man,
that sucks. Oh, that's the worst.
Couldn't eat chicken for like weeks. Mm-hmm. Weeks.
Wow.
So by then, like I said before, my diet was just carbs. It was pizza, and I would cry. Mm-hmm. I would cry because I'm like, I should be eating X, Y, and Z, and I'm not. Yeah. All I'm having is carbs. I felt so bad. Mm-hmm. And Abraham, as I'm like laying on the couch, just like, he runs out, comes home, and has Sour Patch Kids, crackers, Aww. Ginger snaps, ginger candy, ginger ale, other things that he's like, this is supposed to help with your nausea, to help you eat.
No, none of that shit works.
None. None of it worked. And I was like, well, thank you for trying. But I thought that was so nice. I was like, how'd you know about this? He's like, I Googled this article and I'm reading it. I'm like, you're so sweet. Thing. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And now I'm crying because like he's getting into like taking care of me mode.
Yeah.
So I think when they confirmed my pregnancy, I was like, I am nauseous. They gave me the nausea pill. I forget which one it is because there's like a bunch.
Unisum, is it maybe?
No, it's D. It starts with a D.
I don't know.
It's like a one long D word. So that helped a lot. So then once I was adjusted to those pills, I was able to eat, which was great.
Oh, good.
Everything within was like healthy. It was great. We actually found out the gender of the baby.
Yes.
And I kept referring it to he. I'm like, it's him.
You kind of knew, like, you had that intuition.
I knew. Yeah. In my heart, I was like, this is a boy. Aww. But Abraham was like, well, I want a girl. I was like, you're not going to get that. I'm letting you know. Like, it's a boy. Mm-hmm. So we found out the gender together, and the technician was like, are you ready to know the gender? And I remember looking at her like, yes. And she's like, it's a boy. And Abraham's like, oh. And I'm like, I knew it. It's a boy. It wasn't like gender disappointment. Mm-hmm. He missed a lot in Jasmine's life. Oh, and he feels really bad. So, and I think in his mind, he wanted a girl so bad so that he can relive the moments that he missed.
Oh, I love that.
Jasmine's life. Yeah. So that was like the only reason why he like really wanted a girl.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So after we found out it's a boy, I think like a week later, I went to Marshall's. I was getting him like little bits of pieces. I didn't tell anybody. I was like, oh, we're not telling nobody the gender. It's
fun, like keeping that secret.
It is. It's like, haha, we knew.
Yeah.
So everything is fine. Blood pressure's fine. Everything is like fine. I'm starting to eat. But the stress of work is getting to me.
I remember.
At this point, we were quietly searching to replace my coworker because she just wasn't meeting. Like, I remember being sick so bad, and I should have stayed home, but I couldn't because I was like, I don't trust her. Wow. I don't trust her because the employees did not like her.
Oh shit!
Like, they will come to me and be like, I'm not talking to the like. They were pissed. I'm not talking to this girl because every time I come, it's about payroll. Question, she like doesn't give me the right answers, but when I come to you give me everything I need to know. And I'm like, as an HR person now, you can't be like that. Like, these employees need to be able to trust you, especially if you're doing payroll.
You told her that?
No, because at this point I was like, I want her gone too.
Yeah.
Like, you're older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should not have to tell someone who could be my mom's age how to do your job. You have all this experience in the world.
Yeah.
And the employees don't trust you? Like, nah. I was like, she got to go. So we finally replaced her. We're training the new girl. Everything is fine. And now my maternity leave is coming up. Okay. And I'm like,
cough.
I'm like freaking out.
You're freaking out. Why? Because of work? Because you don't. Yeah. Because you want to make sure
that everything is done.
Everything's in order.
I document everything for my coworker to do while I'm out. Well, that didn't happen. What happened, Kathy?
Oh my God.
What happened?
So my wedding was coming up on June 28th and 2019. And Amaris was one of my bridesmaids. And I hear, not from her, I hear from a little birdie 2 days ago, she's not feeling well. She doesn't want to stress me out. She goes, don't tell Kathy, I don't want to stress her out. I'm like, I think my mom ended up telling, she was like, don't tell Amaris, but my GD told me that she might be in labor, but she doesn't want to stress you out. I'm like, really? Like, she doesn't want to stress me out. Like, hello? Yeah, so she didn't make it to the wedding. Because
while I was, we had 2 parties to go to that weekend. One to visit your cousin's son's birthday party. And then the next day was my cousin's baby shower. At my cousin's baby shower, I was having Braxton Hicks that were not going away. And I did not feel good at all. And I looked at my husband and I said, we need to go. So I'm like, you had a feeling I had a feeling. I was like, I do not feel good. Mind you, this is North Jersey. I had to drive all the way down to South Jersey.
Oh my God.
In the car, I reclined my seat back, had my seatbelt on, and I was holding on to the little handle on the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm screaming, and then I go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I will wake up again, screaming. I'm like, oh my God, it was contractions.
You were in labor.
Oh my God.
You were in labor.
I was in labor. We finally get home and they stop.
Of course. And I'm like, of course.
The fuck? Are you?
The universe wanted you to be home.
Yeah. Yeah. The next day, it's 1 a.m. and I wake up and I'm and I get out of bed and I'm just hunched over, swaying left and right. And I'm like, what the hell? It's back again? What the fuck? I text my manager at 1. I was like, I'm not coming into work today. I'm literally up right now and I don't know what's going on. So then they stop. I don't have a diaper bag. I don't have a diaper because I'm a whole month. I give birth next month. July 26th was my due date. Right. It was June, 23rd, 22nd? And I'm like, yo, I have nothing.
Did you have not even the car seat, right? Or
no, nothing. Everything was still in boxes because 2 weeks ago we had my baby shower, which is where I've revealed the gender that we were having the boy and his name. So everything was still in boxes because the week that I gave birth was my last week of work.
Right.
So once July came, I was going to do all the unpacking. Yeah, you thought you had all the time. I thought I had all the time in the world, but I didn't. So I downloaded this app to track my contractions. And I think you track it 5 times before they say
it tells you. Yeah, I know.
It tells you to go to the hospital, and it was go to the hospital, and I was like, the fuck, I'm not. I'm not going to the hospital. I'm like, no, the fuck, I'm not. But then I start packing a quick overnight bag because I'm like, just in case. And I wake up, Abraham was like, yo, this is what's going on. They stop, I'm able to go back to sleep. I'm like, cool. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I need to call my doctor, obviously. Yeah. So I was like, hey, So X, Y, and Z was happening last night. She like cuts me off. You need to go to the hospital.
Oh,
and I was
shit.
like,
why?
Like triage? Like Cooper? There? And they're like, yes, you need to go now. I will let them know that you're on your way. And I'm like, okay, well, I was there a week ago because I had a really bad headache and I thought it was preeclampsia. It wasn't. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go back over there, looking like a liar of some sort. Get there. They check me. Huh. They're like, you're 3 centimeters. And I'm like, what?
No.
3 centimeters. Then they asked me, did you take any drugs? Like they were asking me a bunch of questions. If I was a smoker, if I drink alcohol, like everything. And I'm like, no, but I eat a lot. Like, I ate a lot this weekend. And I was pooping a lot. Do you think it could have been that?
I don't think you needed to share all that.
I'm like, because I'm in shock. I'm like, 3 centimeters? Like, I have a whole month left. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So they give me an IV.
Yeah, and if, as a first-time mom, like, you're oblivious to everything. Like, you're so naive. You don't...
Right. Yeah. I'm just like, what are you... So they have, like, the heartbeat monitor on my belly, and the other one, I guess it's like a stress one. I don't know. So then everything is fine. Then I go up to 4, and they're like, we're gonna get a... No, I lied. Backtrack. Because I was 3 centimeters, it obviously looked like my body was, progressing. Mm-hmm. I had to get a steroid shot for his lungs because he was only 35 weeks and 2 days in my belly. So they were like, we have to give you this because it looks like the baby is going to be born. With that being said, I think in 12 hours, I take the second shot, or in 24 hours, I take the second shot. So regardless, I was saying, overnight. So they get labor and delivery ready because I am now at 4 centimeters.
Oh, shoot.
And they're like, we're going to put you in labor and delivery, and we're going to figure this out. I go into labor and delivery, couldn't eat shit. All I had was water, ice chips. That's all I had. So I'm there. They stop. They give me the second shot, and they're like, well, since you're not progressing, we're going to put you in maternal care, which is where they still put the pregnant people that are not progressing.
Okay.
So I'm there, and I'm like, can I eat? Because I'm starving. They're like, yes, but if you poop, you have to let us know. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I ate. I pooped. I didn't tell them shit.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Oh, shit.
I started fucking contracting.
Oh, man.
And this
that baby was coming.
It was hurting.
Oh, man.
Hurting. I'm on the wall. And Abraham's passed out now. Mind you, he's been with me like this whole time. I'm like holding onto the wall, like just breathing. And I'm like, Abe. And I'm like, fuck this guy. He's fucking sleeping. And I go back to my bed.
They don't wake up for shit, these guys.
They don't. So then I press the nurse's button. They're like, hi. And I'm like, I'm having contractions and they hurt. So this whole time, my contractions, they were like nothing. I'm like, oh, the pain's like a 5.5. This time I was like, it's 7.5.
Oh my God.
They check me. I'm 6.
Oh, shoot.
6 centimeters. And I'm like, what the fuck? So they're like, well, looks like you're going back to labor and delivery. And I'm like, great. This is perfect. They're hurting. I'm like, oh my God. So then they put me in labor and delivery. Mind you, it was like the middle of the night. And then they're like, do you want morphine? I said, yeah.
Sure.
I took morphine twice. That did nothing. That morphine does nothing. So then they're like, do you want an epidural? And I'm like, sure. They check after I get the epidural. I was no longer in pain. They checked me. I stopped. I'm no longer contracting.
Wow.
My body was doing like a stop and stall.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know what the fuck. Well, they didn't tell me that. But in a sense, they're like, we don't know what the fuck your body is doing. But like, you're not contracting anymore. So I'm like, okay. So I sleep, and I would never forget this. I wasn't sleeping on my, no, I had to sleep on my side, on my left side, because for whatever reason, the epidural wasn't numbing my left side. So when they put a catheter in me, I was like, that hurts. And she was like, she took it out. She was like, nope, that should not happen. She's like pinching my toes. I'm like, I feel that. She's like, lay on your left side. So I had to lay on my left side so that the epidural was going down. So then at some point, the night nurse comes in, rushing to my room, puts me on my back, and puts an oxygen mask on my face. Yeah. I have no idea till this day what happened. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know if I was losing oxygen or Thane was losing oxygen. I have no idea.
Wow.
So Thursday morning comes, and my doctor, the one that actually seen it in my office, she's like, hi, I don't know if you remember me. I was like, hi, yes, I remember you. She's like, this is what we're gonna do because we don't know what we're doing, what your body is doing. I had a meeting with my colleagues. I'm like, damn, you guys really had a meeting about me? I'm like, okay, what's the verdict? We're gonna give you Pitocin to speed things up. And we're gonna give you a stronger epidural every 10 minutes. It was every 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Yeah. Click the button.
Oh yeah. I love that fucking button. Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. Button time. Boop. So then, they check me, and I'm finally at 10. So yeah, I'm finally at 10. So I'm like, okay, great, this baby is coming. All right, let's go. So you know how the nurses, they come to your room and they show you how to push, right? So I'm like doing practice pushes, and then they go, okay, stop, get a doctor. So that all the doctors come in. NICU comes in because at this point he was born at 35 weeks and 6 days. So a whole SWAT of people come in, and I'm like, oh shit, like, all right, this is what's going on. I push him out quickly.
Wow.
And they put him on, I think they put him on my chest quickly. Yeah. But then they had to take him because NICU had to like see him. Yeah. Aww. And I knew they had to stitch me up and everything. So I was like, and I also had to push out the placenta.
Yep.
So I was like, I'm not going to pay attention what's happening right here. I'm going to pay attention to the NICU team looking at Thane. Yeah. Aww. Thankfully, he did not need NICU whatsoever. And I'm so thankful for
Seriously,
that.
Yeah.
So thankful because, you know, you hear all these stories. Oh, yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh. So he didn't need NICU. They finally put him on my chest. So we began like breastfeeding. And I was just like, yo, he's here.
Like, I have a kid.
I'm looking at Abraham. I'm like, oh my God. And Abe's like, when's my turn to do skin to skin? So the nurse was like, well, he's been on the mom's. I think there's a rule. They have to be on the mom's nipple for a certain amount of time.
I think so too.
I forget.
Yeah.
But that time was up, and Abe's like, alrighty. He like takes the shirts off, and he's there, and I'm like recording on my bed, and they're like, all right, Mom, while Dad is with the baby, let's get out of bed and let's see if we can pee.
Yeah.
Could not get out the bed. Aww. They were like, no, you still need a little bit more time for the epidural to wear off. I'm like, okay, cool. We finally get something to eat, and I'm like, this is great. I love it. Aww. So our stay was like nice.
That's awesome.
After we went to the postpartum room, it was great. I loved it, and I was really questioning. I was like, is he really premature or not? And like the nurse was like, I've seen a lot of preemie babies. Right. Your son is a
healthy
baby.
Yeah, thank God.
Was right.
Thank God.
And that's what I was like, you sure? Because like he didn't need NICU. He's fine. They're like, no, he looks exactly like a preemie baby. Yeah. Like, all right. So the staff there was like amazing. They were great. No complaints.
That's amazing. I'm glad that you had a good experience there.
I did.
I love my hospital too.
I love my hospital. It gets a bad rep because it's like it's in that location.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's
mine
good.
too. Mine's in Patterson.
Yeah. So I'm like, just because it's in Camden doesn't mean anything. Like, it's really fucking great. It's a great hospital to have your kid.
Yeah.
So everything goes well. I look batshit crazy during those first couple of days in the hospital because, like, I had nothing. Abraham like went home at one
do
time
all the things
to get like all these like random stuff, and I was like, this is not how I pictured me being in a hospital, but whatever.
That's okay. And thankfully, the hospital does provide you with so many things.
Right. But I was in like a tank top and basketball shorts. That's all I had. I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be a little bit more feminine, but whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Cirilla. She was planned.
Yes.
And she was planned because that's when Abraham was like, yeah, you could be a stay-at-home mom. After
so this was before?
This was during COVID.
No, I'm saying when you guys had that conversation, it was before you started trying for Cirilla, or?
So we had the conversation. Thane turned 1.
Okay.
And then we stared trying.
Gotcha.
So I got pregnant fast. Just like you, I got pregnant super fast. Found out I was pregnant by like August 4th. When I was 8 weeks pregnant.
Grayson's birthday.
Oh my gosh.
August 4th.
Yeah. So I found out on August 4th.
Wow.
When literally the day I turned 8 weeks, I started bleeding. I woke up in the morning.
So same thing
like
as
a
me.
Massacre.
That's what happened to me.
Massacre in my underwear, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Your aunt was like working, so it's not like I had a woman's like opinion to like say.
Right.
So I start like crying. I'm like, "Dude, I'm having a miscarriage." Like clots were like coming out of me, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So then I call the doctor's office, and they're like, did you have sex? Did you do this? I had all my responses was like, no. They're like, let me see what I can do, because you need a vaginal ultrasound to like confirm like what is going on. They call me back, and they're like, you can go at like 2. So then I end up going, and I end up going, and the technician confirmed that everything was fine. It's that your uterus cleans itself out. Like, if you did not have your last period, it cleans itself out.
That makes sense.
So I'm like, okay. So then,
it was like old blood, I guess, or
yeah, okay. It was. So I was like, okay, good. Your aunt comes home, and she was like, I'm sorry you went through that, but like that's kind of normal. Like, that happened to like me too.
Yeah, happened to me too.
I was like, okay, I didn't know that. And I'm like crying. She's like, it's okay, baby. Like, it's fine. So like I said before, Cirilla made me nauseous until the 34 weeks, but like I had to eat like good. I just had to eat well. Pregnancy with her, I was put on restrictions because of what happened with Thane.
Okay.
My file was not thick. My file was so thin that MFM was like, I can't really help you. I could put you on progesterone shots, but I don't recommend it because like your pregnancy was healthy. It was just up until you had to labor, and you labored early. So
they gave you the option, or like the decision up to you?
They did. Okay. And I was like, I'm not taking anything. Like, let
nature take its course.
Yeah. But I was on restrictions. I couldn't do certain things. I couldn't lift. No sex. I couldn't travel anywhere.
Oh, I forgot to talk about that with mine. I couldn't have sex the whole time.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I thought I had like an extra week left, but then I went to my appointment, and the doctor was like, no sex. I was like, I thought I had 1 more week. He's like, no.
Yeah.
No sex. And I'm like, all right, fine. So that was like hard. And then at 30 weeks, I couldn't travel anywhere outside of like, I think 30 minutes away from like the hospital. They were like, don't chance it. Don't leave, because like I was up north. Sorella was in breech position for a couple of weeks. And that scared me. And I was like, shit, like I might have a C-section. I was so nervous. Thankfully, I didn't. She was able to flip.
Thank God.
And thank God. I think she like flipped at 34 weeks.
Oh,
she
good.
Like flipped.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, thank goodness. And they told me that chances for her turning into a position that you can't vaginally give birth is like slim. So I'm like, great. Like, you know, I have nothing to worry about. There was an afternoon while Thane was napping. I was laboring at home. The next day I had my appointment and they're like, you're 2 centimeters open.
So at this point, you're how many weeks? 30?
I'm like 37.
Okay.
38. Like I'm past full term. So I'm like, well, all right, great. So he told me if I feel like that again, like I have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
I didn't. The morning that I gave birth to her, I was so uncomfortable, so emotional. Aww. I literally like broke night, went to the living room and was just binge watching movies, bouncing on the ball until I was like, oh, I have to do my morning poop. Sorry, guys. I poop all the time. I'm just a poopy person. Like, so I do my business, and I'm like, yo, this is getting strong. I'm like, oh, bro, is it happening? Mind you, the day before, I did have a cervix exam. I don't know if they did a
membrane sweep.
A membrane sweep or not. I think they did, because the doctor was like, you're gonna be bleeding in a couple of hours, and I was like, okay, which it happened. I was bleeding in a couple of hours, and then like less than 24 hours I was, you know, contracting. So then contractions get stronger and longer and like harder than their actual real contractions this time. So then I call your aunt, and I'm like, yo, it's time. And then she was like, yeah. I think your mom and your dad was here, right? No.
I don't.
Or were they coming?
Know.
I don't know. Something like that. So at 6:30, she picks up Fane, take her to the house. And I'm in the car like, okay, like breathing. And then I will like talk to Abe. I get there and I'm like, yeah, I'm, you know, contracting. I think when I got there, I was 5 centimeters.
Oh shit! So you were
now this I was like there. So they were rushing to get a whole bag of epidural because I mean a whole bag of IV in me, so I can get the whole bag. I know. So that they can get the epidural. So I remember just going, oh, where's my epidural? They're squeezing the IV bag because they take me up to labor, and now I'm at 6, and they're just like they're rushing. Rushing. Then the moment, like literally the moment I finish, the anesthesiologist comes in. And he's like prepping everything.
Thank God you got there when you did
I know, because epidural. I could have missed it.
Yeah,
they were having trouble finding my veins. So before I went into labor and delivery, they're just like, we'll just have the person there do it because I know that person can.
Okay,
they get it, and that's why they were like squeezing it because I was like, time was ticking.
Yeah.
But they told me that my breathing was good. I was doing everything good. And I was like, yo, shout out to all those YouTube videos I binge watched and my breathing techniques.
Yes.
Because shoot, without y'all, I could not survive. So he gets everything ready and he's like, you need to tell me your name, your date of birth, and if you consent. He's like, but not when you're having a contraction.
Okay.
During a contraction, I was screaming my name. I screamed my date of birth, and I was like, yes, I want an epidural! And he was like, all right. And it was in there. And I was like, I remember I'm holding Megan, and I'm like, yeah, Megan. And this was the time when it was COVID and you had to give birth with a mask. And I was like,
oh
Megan,
my God.
I was like, I'm taking the mask off. She's like, it's fine. This is why I have mine on. You're good. And I'm holding her shoulders. And I'm like, Megan. She's like, you're doing so good. And Abraham is outside laughing.
Oh my God.
He's like, yo, this girl. Epidural is finally in me. They put the peanut ball between my legs and Cirilla was coming fast. The resident comes in. She's like, all right, I'm going to check you. As she's like, this is going to be a graphic. She's inserting herself in me to like check me. Right. She breaks my water. Oh, my water breaks. And I felt it. And I was like, did you just break my water? She's like, I did. That was not my intentions, but you're fully dilated and your water broke. Let's do some practice pushing. Oh my God. And I was like, okay, so I'm doing the practice on the pushing. They're like, all right, stop. Doctor comes in. This time is different. There's not a whole team of like anybody there. It's one resident, one doctor, one nurse, and I think one more person. I don't know who that person was. I don't know if she was a second nurse or a second resident or an intern. I have no idea, but it's less people. They're helping me. In like 12 minutes, I pushed her out.
Wow.
12 minutes, I pushed her out. And
that's amazing.
Amazing. Immediately, they gave me her. And after 2 hours, my nurse comes back and she's like, all right, I'm going to take her, I guess, her vitals, her weight. And I was like, oh, with my son, they like did all that first. And she was like, yeah, because your son was preemie. Yeah. And I was like, oh, and me and Abraham were like, things are like different now. Different like experience. This is kind of weird. I was able to get lunch right away.
So you had a better experience for sure.
I had a better experience in the sense it wasn't like, yeah, he's coming today and then he doesn't come. Right. Or he's coming today and he doesn't come. You know, it was, no, we're having a baby today. Right. Like the moment I went in there and the first nurse I saw, Abe was like, what are the chances we're having a baby today? She was like, oh, you're having the baby today, like before 6. And I was like, really? And we're like telling her everything. She's like, yeah, I registered her. There's not much in there, but no, you're definitely having a baby.
And they say the second one is easier too, from what I've heard.
She came out fast.
Wow. Homegirl was ready to come out.
She was like, all right, girl, let's go. Let's go. So labor and delivery with her was so fast. It was so enjoyable. And I just love the moment when they put them on your chest for the first time. And it was just like, yo, this is her. This is great. So, yeah.
Oh, I loved your stories, Amaris.
Yeah, I love them too. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. I think the next one that we do will be a part 2 in continuation with this series. We're going to talk about postpartum.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.